You feel it, that relentless need to be liked, to impress, to not mess up, to not disappoint anyone. You bend yourself backwards trying to get it all right. You smile when you're dying inside. You say it's fine when it isn't. You nod along, even when every cell in your body wants to scream. And here's the truth nobody ever told you. You don't need to give a fuck. Not about all of it. Not about most of it. You are drowning in expectations, assumptions, and imaginary rules written by people who aren't living your life. And the worst part? It's not your fault. You were trained to care too much. From the moment you could speak, you were being taught how to shrink. You were taught to care about what your parents thought, then your teachers, your classmates, your friends, your boss, your followers, even strangers. Be polite, be pretty, be smart, be agreeable, be better, be the best. A little voice in your head, a little part of you silenced to make room for someone else's approval. But here's the twist. Your brain was never meant to carry all of that. Your mind is like a garden, and when you care about everything, you let the weeds take over. You don't just lose energy, you lose clarity. You lose yourself. And it's not just metaphorical. Neuroscience backs this up. When you're constantly anxious about how you're perceived, your brain activates the amygdala, the part responsible for fear and survival. You go into fight or flight mode. Your body tenses, your heart rate spikes, and most importantly, your thinking shuts down. You stop being rational. You stop being present. You become a prisoner of the opinions around you. When you give too many fucks, you don't just burn out. You begin to disappear, bit by bit, thought by thought, until you can't even remember what you wanted in the first place. And here's the most dangerous part. You start mistaking self-betrayal for kindness. You start calling your silence grace. You tell yourself that people-pleasing is compassion, but deep down it's not. Deep down, you know you're abandoning yourself to make other people comfortable. And that's not love. That's slow, quiet, emotional suicide. The question is not, how do I care less? The real question is, why do I care this much? Psychologically, it's called ego investment. The more of your identity you attach to something, your job, your appearance, your relationship, your social image, it hurts more when that thing is criticized or threatened. So when someone mocks your opinion, it feels personal. When you get rejected, it feels like annihilation. Not because those things define you, but because you've been tricked into believing they do. You can't stop caring overnight, but you can start untangling. You can start realizing that you are not your job title. You are not the number on a scale. You are not someone's like or swipe or silence. You are not the version of you someone else holds in their mind. To stop giving a fuck, you have to stop mistaking everything for a reflection of your worth. Most of what you worry about is noise, temporary, meaningless, and irrelevant in the grand scheme of your life. But your brain doesn't know that until you train it. You have to teach your mind to stop reacting to every signal as if it's life or death. You have to learn to pause and ask, is this really mine to carry? This is where the shift begins. When you stop giving a fuck, you start to hear yourself again. Not the version of you performing for others, the real you. The one who has been buried under years of shoulds and what ifs and what will they think. You are not rude for ignoring opinions that drain you. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. You are not broken for setting boundaries that upset people who benefited from your lack of them. The world may not reward you for it, but your peace will. Your energy will. Your clarity will. Some people won't like the version of you that stops apologizing for existing. That's okay. Let them misunderstand. Let them talk. Let them leave. Because every time you choose not to give a fuck about the wrong things, you make more room for the right ones. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about protecting your limited energy like it's sacred. Because it is. You only get so many fucks to give in this life. Spend them wisely. You are not here to win everyone's approval. You are here to live, to feel, to choose, and most of all, to be free.
But here's one truth no one tells you. When you stop giving a shit, something terrifying happens at first. And its name is silence. The noise quiets. The constant feedback loop of, how did I do, goes blank. And you panic. Because for the first time, there's no scoreboard. No applause, no subtle head nods of approval, and without them you feel empty. But that emptiness is not a void, it's a clearing. And clearings are where authenticity begins to grow. You see, most people never make it past this part. They rush back into the noise because it's familiar. They chase validation like oxygen, because silence feels like death. But it's not death, it's birth. It's the first breath of you, without the filter, without the costume, without the performance. And yes, it's awkward, it's lonely. You'll sit in rooms where everyone's still playing the game, still curating, still over-explaining, still fishing for approval. And you'll feel like a ghost, but that just means you're healing. And healing isn't comfortable, it's messy. It's confronting the fact that half your life was built on survival strategies you didn't choose. You didn't become a people pleaser because you were weak. You did it because it worked. Because on some level, it kept you safe, loved, included. And letting go of that part of you means letting go of who you thought you needed to be to survive. And you don't need to hate your old selves. You need to understand them, thank them, and then gently release them. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for it. Not your family, not your friends, not even your past self. You owe yourself honesty. That's it. Radical, unfiltered honesty. And sometimes that honesty will sound like, I don't want to go, or I don't agree, or I'm not okay, or simply no. No justification, no 20-minute apology tour, just boundaries. Clear, calm, and unapologetic. But beware, people will test your boundaries, or they will test them. Because when you stop bending, the people who depended on your flexibility will feel threatened. They'll say you've changed, that you're cold, that you're distant, that you've become difficult. Let them, because you know what's really difficult. Living your whole life as a diluted version of yourself, so others don't feel uncomfortable. That's not harmony, that's erasure. And the longer you do it, the harder it becomes to tell where you end and others begin. This is the revolution, reclaiming your edges, your fire, your no, your yes, your I'm still figuring it out, but this doesn't feel right anymore. It's not polished, it's not cute, it won't always be Instagram worthy, but it's real, and real is rare. Most people never get to meet the real you, not because you're hiding, but because you've been buried under layers of politeness, of I don't want to make things awkward, of what if they think I'm mean? But you weren't put on this earth to be a soft place for others to land while they walk all over your spine. You were built for more than tolerance. You were built for truth. And truth has a cost. You'll lose things. Connections that thrived on your silence will wither. Relationships that relied on your compliance will collapse. That's the price of returning to yourself. But in that space, in that sacred aftermath, you'll find something else, and it's called a quiet peace. Not the peace that comes from everything being perfect, but the peace that comes from knowing you're no longer betraying yourself to keep the peace. And that kind of peace, that's priceless. And the less you seek validation, the more powerful you become. Because power doesn't come from being liked, it comes from being real, from being able to walk into a room and not shrink. From speaking without rehearsing how it'll land, from laughing without checking who's watching. That's freedom, not the loud kind, not the rebellious middle finger to the world kind, but the quiet, grounded kind that says, I know who I am, and that's enough. So no, this isn't about being careless. It's about being careful with what matters. It's about guarding your time like it's gold. Guarding your energy like it's sacred, guarding your peace like it's breath. You don't have to be liked by everyone, you just have to be liked by you. And that, ironically, is the hardest thing, because we're often the last person we seek approval from. But the moment you stop chasing applause, you start hearing your own voice, and that voice, that's the one that'll carry you home, to your truth, to your boundaries, to your freedom. Let the world misunderstand you. Let them call you distant, selfish, too much, too little. Let them say you've changed, because you have. because you've stopped giving a fuck about being palatable and started giving a fuck about being whole. And if this video shook something in you, if it made you question the mask you've been wearing, then you have to watch the next one. Trust me, it's important. The journey is just beginning.